So let us start things off with the cryptocurrency world, right? So in March 2020, when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the cryptocurrency startups that were excluded by the RBI from the government's payment network and everything, the world of cryptocurrency has returned to sort of an earlier status quo, right? In terms of regulation. And since then, there has been a rise of users based out of India. And even like in general, in the global market, cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin have all been on a sort of a bull run this year as well. So, how has 2020 been as a year for WazirX?
I think this year has been amazing for us in terms of, because, like you said, the whole Supreme Court ruling that came in. I think that was the biggest push for the Indian crypto ecosystem. But that was not the only event. The other event that gave a push to crypto in India was the lockdown that came during the pandemic. And the reason being that when people had to sit back at home and most of them did not have the opportunity to go to a regular job, or many lost their jobs, they started searching online on what are the things they can do to earn money online. And crypto emerged as one of those options for them. And you've seen this participation increase during the pandemic in even the traditional financial sector. It's the same story in the crypto ecosystem as well. We saw a boost in the number of people signing up. In fact, I think our user signups increased by around 3 times compared to before the lockdown and the ruling of the Supreme Court. The funny thing is the Supreme Court removing the banking ban and the pandemic came within a couple of weeks. I think both of them just 2 weeks apart. So I can't really isolate and tell you which event led to this, but I think it's a combination of both of these factors that gave a boost. So 3x increase in our signups, I think a 4x increase in our trading volume. Okay. And that was just that's just been increasing. So we've not seen a slowdown. Every month now we've been seeing an uptick in the number of people coming and the trading volumes on our exchange. So it's been a good year, I think, 2020 for crypto, and not just for WazirX, but even for the Indian crypto ecosystem. And even globally, if you look at the prices of cryptocurrencies today, it's appreciated really well in the last 6 to 8 months.
Right. So let's talk about the global situation for a bit. I mean, the world no longer considers blockchain good, Bitcoin bad, right? I mean, that status quo is no longer there. And in fact, we've seen a lot of large entities such as PayPal adopting cryptocurrency, right? So even PayPal announced that cryptocurrency integration will now be applicable for all their accounts. We've seen Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey's other startup Square buy $50 million worth of Bitcoin back in October 2020 itself. And, mainstream companies such as Atari are also releasing their own cryptocurrency coins. So like I mentioned, we're seeing global adoption. So what do you make of this trend? And where do you see this going in the future?
This is how technological adoption happens. Always, first you have a niche set of early adopters, the enthusiasts, the hobbyists, who love playing with a certain technology. And they might play with 10 different types of technology. And eventually a couple of them mature out, where then the general population starts creeping in slowly and steadily, trying it out. So if you look at Bitcoin, the first, I would say the Bitcoin and crypto in general, the first maybe 5-6 years has been about hobbyists and enthusiasts going into it. 2017 is where the whole the mass adoption point started. And it's still in that stage. And the last 2 to 3 years, so 2017 to I think 2019, the 1-2 years of that time frame had been more of retail investors, like regular people getting into buying cryptocurrency. This year, interestingly, it's been more about institutions. It's been about companies. It's been about governments, central banks, everyone. And this I'm talking from a global point of view, where the institutions have now started getting into crypto. So I think the next few years, this institutional presence will increase further. And while retail always is good from a number of people participating, institutions bring in the bulk of the investment money that comes into any market. Right. So it's a good thing. I think first people coming in, this is probably one of those, I would say, a few moments in history where the retail comes in first and the institutions are following.
Right.
rather than always the companies first getting into something and then people follow. So this is a good thing, and that happened in crypto. Stays true to what crypto was about, equal access to anyone, anywhere in the world, and that is happening. Now the blockchain is good, Bitcoin is bad narrative. See, it's not like a 0 and 1. It was happening before in the US. Like if you think about 4-5 years ago, this narrative existed in the US. US is way ahead of us in terms of crypto adoption and understanding today. So they don't talk about it. But in India, now probably it's less, but at least a year or two ago also, you still had that narrative in place in India, where a lot of people, who don't really deeply understand, but they want to talk about Bitcoin and blockchain. They say blockchain is good and Bitcoin is bad. Now I think it's reduced, and it's reduced primarily for a number of reasons. The biggest being that there are startups like us who are vocal about what this technology is, what are the use cases, why you need to see them as one rather than, I think I spent a lot of time explaining to people, like, if you were to segregate blockchain and Bitcoin or crypto, that's like saying the internet is good and websites are bad. The internet is just a collection of websites, which is similar. Your blockchain technology is useful and it stays true to a decentralized ecosystem can only be created if there is a cryptocurrency. Otherwise, it's like any other database within a closed ecosystem. You could use anything there. So I think education has actually reduced the whole blockchain is good and Bitcoin is bad narrative, and it has now gone to crypto. And I think objectively, we've also started talking about crypto in general, because when you talk about website, you also know inherently it is on the internet. So we don't say internet website. We don't say, it's a internet product anymore. So I think the term crypto will become ubiquitous overall over a period of time, where people will then understand that when you say crypto, you mean to say it's a blockchain based technology, and crypto is the thing that helps you keep it public. So I think education is probably the biggest. And the other important thing is, when you see, this is what is new technology. There is always confusion, and when the technology matures out, people automatically get to know what it is. Like for example, if you look at the internet also, a long time ago, people said if you buy something on the internet, you will never get it. It's going to be a fraud. People just take your money and run away. But today, you trust. You buy anything on the internet because you know that you can gauge what is a scam where you pay and you don't get the stuff you order, versus there are products where you can order and you will get it at home. You never wonder today that I paid, and you also know there are protections in place for you to get your money back. So I think as the technology matures, this whole narrative will definitely not exist. The blockchain is good, Bitcoin is bad. That will die out. It's already dying out, but I think still there are some sections which still talk about it.
I think definitely we can see that trend happening in India as well, right? Where what is happening is that because there's such a huge surge in retail investors, governments and other intermediaries such as large corporations, banks will now have to recognize cryptocurrency as a power and cannot simply just shun that away, right? They have to recognize the fact that, okay, this is a force that cannot be stopped per se, that cannot be stopped in its tracks, but something that we should embrace and rather bring into the system rather than try to push it away and cause further complications.
Right. And see, the thing is, users' participation is all it takes for the governments also to be motivated to push for it. Without participation, even if we fight for regulations and adoption, it's not going to happen. So I think all of us as crypto enthusiasts, crypto startups should focus on more knowledge and more spreading of the information, so that the government eventually, I'm pretty sure they will regulate it one day or the other. But I think they are waiting for the right amount of participation, because there are so many problems for them to solve. They will only look at it as number of people on a particular segment. If let's say we reach 10 million, 20 million people in India who understand crypto, hold crypto, then it just is more motivating for them to regulate it. So it will come around.
Right. Makes sense. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this episode. The Indianaut Podcast is available on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook to receive all updates on the upcoming episodes. We'll see you in the next one.